Swiss preparing for possible severe electricity and gas shortages. The Swiss government is setting up a gas sector crisis intervention group and a monitoring system, more surveillance, for early detection of an impending electricity shortage, it said on Wednesday, as it prepares for the possibility of severe power shortages. The Swiss government began drawing up plans in April for a potential gas shortage in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, saying measures were being developed ranging from appealing to the public to reduce consumption to possible power rationing in the event of a crunch. It has now tasked national grid operator Swissgrid with developing and operating a new monitoring system to observe developments in electricity supply, which it said is to go live by the end 2022. Quote, the monitoring system is to provide information on the current supply and market situation in Switzerland, as well as analysis of self-supply, the Federal Department of Economic Affairs, Education and Research said in a statement. Quote, in particular, it is intended to show how long Switzerland could secure its electricity supply without electricity imports. The government also tasked the government's Gas Industry Association, VSG, with forming a new crisis intervention organization. More bureaucracy, please. It was also looking at other alternatives due to reservations expressed in consultations regarding the association's independence and a lack of regulation over the gas market. Quote, against the backdrop of the Ukraine war and the associated uncertain supply situation, the Federal Council is now nevertheless entrusting the VSG with the task of forming a crisis intervention organization for a limited period of 1 year, the government said, in order to take account of the reservations expressed in the consultation process. The inclusion of gas consumer representatives in the crisis intervention organization is stipulated, and the mandate is limited to 1 year. So anyway, yeah.
You lost me. What exactly are we talking about?
Oh, we're talking about the Swiss.
Switzerland.
They're getting ready to, they're monitoring their electricity as well as their gas, and they're preparing for the worst. And, they're sort of, I'm surprised they haven't been monitoring this before. Well,
I imagine every European country is doing this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Isn't this protocol? I mean, even before any of this Ukraine stuff and the instability in the world system or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it's to just spin more fear and that sort of thing in the public.
It is interesting because the Switzerland, didn't they recently? They were kind of forced to take a side on the Russia thing. Right. Sort of famously neutral Switzerland.
Yeah.
There was a whole hullabaloo about how they were no longer neutral. They were taking a stand, or they were talking about it or something. So, as far as at least the messaging of that, even Switzerland's not neutral on Russia.
Well,
and
I have there's an Al Jazeera article that with the headline "Ukraine war fails to nudge neutral Switzerland closer to NATO." So maybe it's a threat. This whole thing with the energy thing. It's like, they didn't do. They're not moving towards NATO. They're not really with us. So it might be a pushing away.
So that must have been what it was. They were sort of being pressured. Like, we know you do this sides. Neutral thing, but we need you to take a side here.
Right.
And that would make sense that that they're kind of on their own.
Right.
They would be kind of left on their own, where everybody else is kind of negotiating, making deals, figuring out how NATO countries can, or EU, I don't know which way you want to look at it. How can we support each other and get each other through this type of thing? Switzerland's just like, well, we'll figure it out ourselves. Probably extra complicated for Switzerland, because I'm sure all the Russian oligarchs are hiding a bunch of money in Swiss bank accounts.
Not just Russian. Every oligarch in the world probably has at least a little bit of their hand in the cookie jar there. So yeah. I think they have a little. I'm sure they have some flex. They can do what the U.S. did and just be like, we changed the law. It's illegal to be Russian here, and we just take your stuff.
It's I'm sure they have this. There's at least sort of spiritually this support that they would have from capital. You talk about capital as its own ruling power of the world.
Yeah.
If you are a small neutral nation that has the support of unimaginable amounts of capital. Russian oligarchs, of course, American, everybody's got their money in Swiss bank accounts.
Yeah.
You've probably got the support you need to weather some sort of
somehow, some way, somebody will
peer pressure campaign to join in. I would be actually very interested to continue to watch Switzerland during this whole thing.